Canada has one of the most diverse societies in the world. From Chinese, Indians, Pakistanis to African Americans and Europeans, we have a lot of races living here and calling themselves Canadian. But how did this diversity come to be? This is a story of immigrants from India. There were many push factors in India. India's atmosphere was highly polluted. It had overcrowded streets with over 300 million people living in India in the 1900s. The country was not very clean and had very little job opportunities for the poor. More push factors of India include lots of street violence, religious persecution of Muslims, famines, droughts, and low sources of drinkable water. In the 1900s, the Canadian economy was spiking in British Columbia. This gave it an ability to sustain many immigrants. The government was also giving out large quantities of land with a price of $100 per 3 years. Besides that, Canada had an abundance of clean water. A lot of land and a lot of water meant a lot of resources from the crops and cattle that were grown there. The remaining pull factors of Canada was that it was a really peaceful country and it had a freedom of religion. There was no steamship that would take you directly to Canada, so in order to get to Canada, the Japanese and the Indians had to make the ships themselves. The biggest ship that they built was called Komokara. This ship carried around 360 people from India to Canada. But sadly, when it arrived to Canada, it was forced to turn back because the immigration ban. In 1908, a ban was passed on immigration without the tickets from Asia. Not later, the government of BC took away the voting rights of Indians, even though the immigrants from Europe did have the rights of voting. The immigrants from India were also paid a lot less than the whites for the same job. They did not get free healthcare or the free schooling that the whites were getting. Not later, head taxes were raised to about $500 per person, which is about $7,000 per person. Today, there were a lot of discrimination against Indians. They were stereotyped as dirty, dark, full of disease people. They were all asked to move to the US and Mexico for suitable weather. After that, 2,000 Indians left Canada. But at the end, hardships had paid off. After most Indians had left Canada, Canada decided to give them equality in both public places and workplaces. In 1920s, the men's families were allowed to come to Canada for free. And in 1947, voting rights were given back to them. And then finally, in 1950, the ban of immigration was lifted. This is a story of Indians coming to Canada. The end.